the topic of my lecture based on the beautiful lecture given earlier by Professor Sarah Berger. And I actually felt that I'm going to be too repetitious, so if I give the lecture, and it will look actually much weaker than the very pleasant presentation she gave us earlier today. So I changed yesterday the topic, and I formed this lecture based on study and work we've been working on for the past period. It has been entitled Follistatin hormone and its impact on the ovarian response. Actually, the story began 3 years ago with one of my friends who is a gym attender, grew all of a sudden a huge bulk of muscles. So I asked him frankly, are you on something? Are you on anabolic steroids or something? So he told me that he bought from the gym a jar full of powder, and I was so interested to know, what's this? I read a label, it's a product of China, and it's being sold in big jars, and they take it in spoons or dissolved in water, and you just drink once daily. And I read the label, and it was full of the follistatin. So I was very interested, very intrigued to know, because I recall during my studies in gynecology that follistatin is part of the activin and inhibin follistatin axis, and it is of importance for us, but for a reason or another we forgot about it. So I started to work on it 3 years ago, and we're coming to interesting results. To start with, follistatin is a autocrine glycoprotein that is expressed in nearly all tissues, and its primary function is the binding and bioneutralization of members of the transforming growth factor beta superfamily, with a particular focus on the activin. This is the ovary. In the muscles, actually, it works on the myostatin, and the myostatin is the protein that binds the growth protein and blocks protein growth. So if we give the follistatin, it abolishes the myostatin, so it releases the muscle, so the muscle has the sky as a limit to grow, and it can achieve huge growth. For long years, researchers have largely denied follistatin any role in the ovulation process based on the observations that it is rather unaltered throughout the cycle. It remains stable, yes, across the menstrual cycle. It does not show any significant diurnal variation and not affected by menopause. This opinion is recently slowly changing. It is part of the activin follistatin axis, as I said. It is humanly genetically coded for by a gene located on the long arm of chromosome number 5. 3 reported isoforms exist, known in biochemistry, and are known in the production market and manufactured. For clinical significance, it has a role in cellular proliferation, in the inflammatory response rapidly through the non-gynecological issues. In the development of the embryo, it appears to exert an inhibitory action on the BMPs, the homomorphogenic proteins. These are known to induce the ectoderm to become epidermal ectoderm. So when inhibiting the BMPs, it allows the neuroectoderm to arise from the ectoderm. It shifts the way from the epidermal ectoderm to the neuroectoderm, resulting eventually in the formation of the neural plate. In the ovary, it appears to be controlling the progression of the follicle from early antral to antral dominant follicle. It promotes cellular proliferation or differentiation of the estrogen-producing granulosa cells of the dominant follicle into the progesterone-producing large lutein cell of the corpus luteum. Aberrant expression of the activin follistatin axis has also been observed in the endometria of women with recurrent miscarriage, anovulatory bleeding, and endometriosis. So, we developed work here. It's partially issued from a PhD in the Cairo University that I supervised earlier. And part of the data has been made as a study. We aim in this study to find the role of the basal level of follistatin in the process of folliculogenesis. Noticing the variability of follistatin serum levels between women, we wanted to uncover a modifying role that follistatin plays, resulting in possibly a variable, tailored individual ovarian response. It's a prospective cross-sectional observation study we included 200 women undergoing an IVF program in our center. The women were selected from the group of patients subjected to the long stimulation protocol for IVF. We included women between 18 and 35 years with body mass index of 25 to 35 years, no ovarian volume and normal intrafollicular counts. And we included in the study the patients undergoing long stimulation protocols using tonic small doses of GnRH agonist and using human menopausal gonadotropin. The HMG dose was calculated based on the age, the body mass index, ovarian response in previous cycles, as well as, of course, the experience of the attending consultant. We excluded patients with low ovarian volume, with low intrafollicular count, patients with history of unilateral oophorectomy, ovarian cystectomy, or ovarian drilling, and clinical or ultrasound evidence of endometriosis. We measured the serum follistatin and AMH, and we took the opportunity on the day of measuring taking a blood sample to measure the E2, just to ensure that the patient has been down-regulated, so that's some 10 to 14 days after starting the GnRH agonist. Follistatin was measured using a commercially available enzyme linked to immunoglobulin assay, the R&D system in Minneapolis, USA. We set as a primary outcome the number of days needed to reach a satisfactory initial response to stimulation. And a number of 2 follicles was set, 2 follicles on each side, with a minimum of 12 millimeters in diameter. This was the parameter number 1. Parameter number 2 was the number of days that were needed to reach a mature graphian follicle, and we set a limit of 20 millimeters in diameter or more, with a concomitant E2 level corresponding to at least 200 picograms per milliliter per follicle. And the third parameter was the number of mature oocytes retrieved. We had secondary outcomes, including the need for step up, the need for step down, the coasting, and development of OHSS. I'm not going through the statistics of these secondary outcomes today, for sake of time. For statistical convenience, 4 groups were created based on the follistatin level, and ranging between the least reading recorded and the maximum one, so ranging between 200 and 4,200. The group 1 was the serum follistatin group 1 between 200 and 1,200, the second next 1,200 till 2,200, then third and fourth. So we came with these results. If you look at here, this is the table to represent the days needed to achieve a satisfactory initial response to stimulation. The first group, remember, this is the group with the lowest recorded follistatin values, and we took the days of ultrasound monitoring for each group. On the 5th day of starting the stimulation, 85.7% of the group 1 achieved the satisfactory initial response. Whereas in group 3 and 4, these were the highest follistatin levels, none of them achieved this initial response. As days go, on the 7th day, the first group completed the response. All of the first group are responding. Most of the second group responded, whereas still 38% of the third group starting to respond, and still 0 response from the last group. On the 9th day, okay, we finished the first group. The second group, it's finished, it's completed. And the third group here, these are ranging between 2,000 and 3,000 nanogram per milliliter of follistatin. 50% are achieving initial response, and it's starting with the fourth group, 2%, with 2 cases only, representing 10.5% of the group. By the 11th day, of course, they were assumed that none of the patients failed to respond beyond 11 days. If you can see here, the red color codes for the group 1, and you can see only in the first 2 times of monitoring, the 5th and the 7th day, and the yellow group does not appear at all, except in a slight part on the 9th day and in the 11th day. So, with the parameter 2, we counted the days of stimulation needed to reach mature graphian follicles. And For the first group, on 8 days of stimulation, 82% of the first group achieved this, whereas only 3% of the second group achieved this on 8 days after 8 days of receiving HMG, none in the third or fourth group, and this goes as well for the 10 days mark. The third and fourth group yet did not respond still till 10 days, and for the fourth group, it's even continuing till the 12th day. By 10 days, all of the patients in the first group had achieved mature graphene follicle development, and only 28% of the second group achieved, and none still responded. After 12 days, nearly most of the second group were achieving mature graphene follicle, and it's starting to appear of the third group that there are some patients reaching the mature graphene follicle. And by 16 days, most of the patients in group 4, they reached the mature graphene follicle, and they completed their course for maturity 18 days or even more. Which is the same thing here. To correlate between stimulation days versus follistatin level, taking the whole groups together, we have a very strong positive correlation between them, whereas comparing the AMH together with the follistatin, there was no correlation. So follistatin does not correlate with AMH. It acts independently. It also does not correlate, it did not correlate neither with age nor with the body mass index of the patient. So, this created points of discussion. First, follistatin levels, the basal levels, vary from one to another, and the values are independent of body mass index and of age. Serum follistatin and AMH levels together did not correlate, and since AMH is currently the most reliable method to assess the functional ovarian reserve. We are talking about the functional ovarian reserve, not the total ovarian reserve. Then follistatin can be considered as an independent of ovarian reserve, independent factor for ovarian reserve. Follistatin levels directly correlate with the days needed to reach follicular maturity, with a possible subsequent conclusion of an inverted relationship between follistatin levels and the ovarian response to stimulation. We can get this equation. The higher the follistatin level, the harder the stimulation will be. So, serum follistatin will serve as a predictor of ovarian response. This hypothesis could be further fortified if we take into consideration the interesting work. It was published in Ovarian 2009. By Florio and colleagues. Based on their findings, a correlation could be built up between the relatively high follistatin levels, the poor or slow ovarian response, and endometriosis. As they concluded in their work that serum follistatin is increased in women with endometriosis, and that this allows clear distinction between endometrioma and other benign ovarian cysts. What are the prospects of this? First, estimating follistatin levels could play an important role in patients with a prior history of slow or poor response to controlled ovarian hyperstimulation. When I was listening today to the lecture by my dear colleague Dr. Ahmed Surur, this is probably the answer for it. Okay, why two patients with very similar criteria, one responds normally and the other responds excessively or contrary. It could also be a predictor of exaggerated, unanticipated ovarian response, with a possible role in reducing the need for coasting and even OHSS. Follistatin levels will also play a part of the initial hormone workup for patients seeking fertility. At the continuation of this preliminary study, a larger study is being carried out, having for aim to reproduce a reliable cutoff limit for follistatin in serum, as well as to further establish its impact on ovarian response. I actually have a cutoff limit. We performed drug curve analysis, and I do have a cutoff limit, but I'm refraining to say it because I'm not sure about the results yet, because there are many confounding factors. There are certain limitations to this study. that if we avoid, we can make this study much stronger and reliable. We need larger, of course, larger scale study, including different ethnicities, though all our patients were not 100% Egyptians. We had 2 patients from Djibouti, 5 patients from Sudan, and 1 patient from Kuwait. We can consider them as Middle Eastern. They're not fully Egyptian, but we might need to resort to more different ethnic variability. We need, of course, multiple designs. We need multivariate analysis. We need broader subgrouping, and, of course, multi-center collaboration. But the main limitation is, which is carrying major concern, that the difference in HMG doses between the patients. One could argue that these changes simply are noted because we either underdosed or overdosed the patients. We did not select properly the appropriate dose for this patient. I agree. But on the other way, literature is lacking as concerns of what exact dose we need to start with for each patient. When I'm in the office and I have a patient, I'm simply judging her based on her body weight, based on her, of course, age, based on her previous performance in previous cycles, and then I settle the dose. It's whether 1 ampoule, 2 ampoules, 3 ampoules, 4 ampoules, 150. It's always variable and individually tailored between each different patient. So, thank you all for listening. And I would like to take the opportunity, please, to congratulate the Center for the 33rd year, because myself, I'm achieving in next April one of the master numbers. I've been here for 11 years. Dr. Agad yesterday said that the master numbers are 11, 22, and 33. I've been with the Center for 11 years. It's been my honor, been my proud. I've been very proud of this experience, and I'm very thankful to all of you, and I'm really happy for all of us. Thank you so much.